Hello and welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be breaking down the OB50 patch. Now as always, once the PTS goes up, I'll hopefully be playing some games live streaming myself, and if not, tomorrow morning, so be sure to check those out. And boy, this patch has fixed some of the most irritating bugs that have plagued the game for so long and that people have been asking for forever. And the biggest one, and one of my favourite champions, is the Androxus reversal fix. So if you didn't know, if you put up your reversal, which is a shield that absorbs enemy damage and throws it back at them, if you walk backwards, you had a high chance of the projectiles going through and hitting you. What it meant was that you always had to be aggressive with Androxus and walk forwards or walk side to side to make sure that the projectiles didn't go through and that you could throw it back at somebody. And now that should no longer happen, so walking backwards should be fine. And in real terms, in Androxus, will mean without the Godslayer card where you throw back 800 damage default, and that basically means that your reverse is more powerful and you want to be aggressive with it. If say you have Nether Step, you can use it to retreat around a corner and then walk around the corner as you're using it and walk backwards and then retreat away. Generally, it's going to slightly buff Androxus, I would say, because it was such a big danger for you to walk backwards and opens up more possibilities to run away. This has also gone over to Fernando, who also had a massive problem where with their shield, if you walk backwards, sometimes projectiles would go through them. And that was a massive bummer for Fernando because obviously the shield is the biggest part about his character, or at least in his design. Both of these are mega bug fixes and 100% welcome in my opinion, and awesome. Another massive one that's been so frustrating for so long, you might have seen me on stream or in gameplay being frustrated by this one happening. Drogo's Salvo, which is his Q on PC, which basically you round up 6 shots and fire them off for less damage, but in a spread AoE and good against shields, now is fixed with the reload, because before it was bugged and sometimes it wouldn't reload properly, sometimes it didn't have the full amount of the salvo, and sometimes it didn't use the salvo at all. It'll play the animation, but then just fire off normal shots. Now this should be all fixed in OB50. Finally, Bomb King's Demolition Legendary now affects all shields, as sometimes it was bugged and didn't affect some shields or was a little bit buggy, so just a little quality of life effect for Bomb King. Those amazing fixes aside, let's get on to the balance, the meat and the potatoes of a patch in my opinion. The first nerf up is Buck, going from 3000 HP to 2800 health points at base. Buck's always been a very tanky champion, and this is just drawing him back, especially as his damage was buffed in OB49. Now he also has his survivability with his healing, and his win rate was generally quite high over the board, even though his pick rate was slightly lower. Next up, and this could be a bug fix, but also a buff to Drogos, is that his Salvo, Fire Spit and Main Fire are now lag compensated. And if you didn't know before, Bomb King had similar issues where some of his projectiles didn't connect. It's just basically improving the client-side, server-side detection of the projectiles. So it should generally mean you'll be putting out more damage and more accurately, and this actually might make Drogos one of the best champions in this patch, seeing as Bomb King became so powerful after his lag compensation, so we'll just have to watch that space. Inara's also had a load of buffs. First of all, her wall has had a deploy range increase, and it slightly now knocks up enemies. Just generally means that she'll be able to zone better, escape better with her wall, and generally just give her a bit more utility. Secondly, her main attack doesn't have as steep a damage drop off. Before it was in increments, so it'd drop off really steeply to half damage pretty quickly, and it was really noticeable because her damage at mid-range to long range kind of sucked. But now that's gradual and it should be better at that mid-range. And finally, the last buff, which is the biggest, is her Earthen Guard on PC as a right click, now stops all debuffs from working on her. So that's cauterized basically. So Inara's always been a champion that can't really move away that much, her only escape is her wall, and this also now allows her to sort of stand there and take a lot more damage because a healer's going to be able to do 100% healing while she's in that fire, in the fire range, and the Cauterize isn't going to do anything during that duration, and will also get rid of Cauterize if it's been put on you. So if you've got a healer like a Ceres or a Maldamba that are focusing on that Inara, the full heal is going to go through and you're going to have a lot of survivability. Just in general, this might push Inara back into the meta. She hasn't really been in any meta since her release, so this could be the one that pushes her into it. Maeve has received a fix, but also a slight nerf. So Pounce is now mitigated by Haven, which basically mitigates direct damage. That wasn't working before. Now, Maeve isn't in a good place, and it's kind of unfortunate she hasn't had any buffs or tweaks, changes to how she works. Next up, another big one, and Makoa's been in the competitive scene for the longest time, one of the biggest first picks, and what they've done is increase the Dredge Anchor cooldown from 9 to 11 seconds. That's a big increase, folks, and the Anchor is probably the most powerful thing on the champion. What makes him so good. They did, however, slightly buff the Ancient Rage from what it was, because it has a 0.3 second like sort of wind up time until you get the extra health when you activate the ultimate. Before it was 0.5 seconds and now it's 0.3 seconds. It should be easier to survive burst when an enemy hears you starting to ulti, but then just quickly burst you down before you get the health back. And it means that I'll probably be able to use it more when you're on low health, which was how you used it in previous patches. Ceres has received a buff, and that's in Restore Soul cooldown of 5 to 4 seconds. This is a big one. This is her heal, and basically the problem with it was A, that you can't do anything whilst you're healing, unlike Maldamba and Ying, like all of the other healers in the game, and 2, the cooldown starts once your healing has ended. Now there's one of the legendaries, kind of increases your cooldown because you get an extra 1000 HP healing done over that 1 second. Now this 1 second should help a lot with doing basically more constant healing, and will probably put Ceres a bit more at the forefront here. Another big buff to Ceres is her ultimate, and that is that once the actual projectile lands, you know, that ball you throw, before it was 1.5 seconds until it activated and pulled people in, but now it's 0.5 seconds. This is huge. This means that it's going to be the wombo combo it always could have been. Before, people could run away, people could put their shields up pretty much instantly to it and just deal with it. Now there's still time to react to it. You've got the split second, or the half a split second. Most of the time it's going to catch people out and drag them in. Both on healing and ultimate here, Ceres is getting a big buff. Willow has kind of got fixed, but also now UI markers are put onto both the first projectile that goes down and then the 4 ceilings that are spawned afterwards, so you'll always know if you're in the range of the fire. This is a big one because it's just so annoying for example, to walk into them after they've spawned because you had no idea the 4 were down, but the first one would have told you it was there, but you come in, you die on it, and just generally it'll make it less frustrating to play against, and kind of for newer players will be easier to avoid. Finally, another nerf that I'm not exactly sure about is that Ying's illusions heal every 1.2 seconds now rather than 1 second, so every time they fire off their healing beam. The thing is, in the statistics, Ying has the highest win rate in competitive in this past patch at like 56%-ish if we go back to the better meta site, and the highest healing, but in a lot of competitive games and high level games she's being out healed a lot by Maldamba, and sort of Ceres is sort of taking her spot as well now. So it could be that Ying is pushed out of the second highest picked healer in competitive scenes, and I don't know whether this was 100% great. The thing is with Ying is that she's so easy to use and easy to heal with, which is part of the reason why she does so well in the majority of games. Anyway, those were all of the nerfs and buffs. Just quickly, there's a new test map which is called Bend. It's basically a map with a bend. We'll be checking that out in the live stream. Another massive feature is they've got 3 new announcers. If you didn't know, in other games like, say, Dota 2, you could change your announcer, who is a person that calls things like quadra kill, point captured, and things like that. And now there's a Bomb King, an Eevee, and a Dry Bear one. And maybe there might be a Joshino one in the future. But that's just a very cool feature, and actually in Dota 2 they've got things like Rick and Morty and really quite elaborate theme things, so maybe we'll see something like that coming forwards. Obviously not Rick and Morty, but some sort of theme ones. Finally, just quickly on the skins, I'll probably do a full video on this at some point with a giveaway later on. But we've got the Charlene, Vigilante, and Guardian. These are both like superhero skins. Pretty damn cool in my opinion, although the Guardian one is in the Colossal chest, which is that massive chest, which is actually being retired this patch, so after OB50 it won't be available. But I wish the Guardian one with the sort of like smaller mask was the default one, but the Vigilante you buy in a bundle, a pack. Buckwild is the wrestling themed one. He pretty much looks like Hulk Hogan, but with brown hair instead of blonde. It's only the head and the body, but also has a pose and an emote, which are both very cool, and also has sort of a stereotypical wrestling voice pack as well to go with it. Then we have Star Glam Eevee, which sort of taps into the 80s techno, sort of cyberpunkish sort of thing, with a visor coloration, a blue one on her head, and just, it's a general recolor on the rest of her, and it's a rare skin. It looks nice, but apart from the actual cyberpunk sort of visor thing, I wouldn't say it's anything too special. And then finally the one where I'm not 100% on board on, but it's the new Wrecked chest, which basically has Nerf guns, although they can't call them Nerf guns, they're just toy guns. And it's got a gun for Barrack, Tyra, Charlene, Grover, Androxus, Ganessa, Buck, Victor, and Cassie, and also has a Wrecked spray. Now this has its own animations on basically the scorch box left when you fire, and actually the darts will stick into the wall and fall off, and also has a plonking sound whenever you hit something. Personally, it's just the theme doesn't sit that great with me, but I mean, as skins, they look pretty good. Maybe I'll pick some of them up. We'll just have to see. What does everybody else think about this one? I think we need a discussion about this one. Is this good, or is it bad, or is it going too far? Finally, just want to mention that this time around, there are lots of skins. There's like 4 separate sets of skins and different ways to get them, some fully purchasable, some of them are in chests. And as I always say, the health of a free-to-play game is often in its cosmetics and how much it gets out, and this is always a good sign, so I just want to put that out there. All in all, I think this is a great patch, especially for the fixers, and the balancing mostly has been on point, although I'm not 100% sure about Ying. But what does everybody else think about the nerfs and buffs? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more of my content, and be sure to tune in for my live streams. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all next time. Joshino.